Welcome everyone to today's live digital marketing workshop. If you're watching this on the replay, then welcome. In today's session, we're going to be talking about paid and organic search strategy. So SEO and Google Ads, Google Shopping, and those types of things. So predominantly, we're going to be looking at businesses that are targeting search today. So anybody who is solving a problem that people know they have or is selling something that people know that they need. So as always, we are going to be reviewing some sites that have been sent over previously, and we're also going to be reviewing some people live as well. So drop us a little wave icon in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from today. And if you're going to drop your website in the chat for us to analyze, then please do make sure that you are. Using, when you put in the domain, leave out one of the dots so that we can so you get taken down by the YouTube algo. So if you'd like it to be analyzed, drop it in the chat. Cool. Just type in messages while I talk, which is always a great strategy. This is actually the final YouTube live, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live from this studio, because I'm actually going to be moving house next week. And for those who don't know, this is filmed in a room in my house. So it's all going to be different. Who knows what it's going to look like yet? I certainly don't, but we will be fine. Great stuff. So if you've got a site that you want us to analyze, drop it in the chat and we will get stuck in. But we've got some sites that have been submitted and we're going to be having a look at their organic, their SEO, and also their PPC as well. Before we do that, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about paid versus organic and Google Ads versus SEO and when to use each one. As we go through the examples, we're going to be answering this question: how much of this business's focus should be on SEO? How much of this business's focus should be on PPC? I think for me, there's a bit of a misconception. I was actually in a Clubhouse room this week talking about organic versus paid channels and trying to work with people's preconceptions about paid traffic, in that paid traffic is almost like an admission of failure, because if we have a strong business and we're good at marketing, then surely we should have really strong organic visibility. And whilst I can understand that it never feels good to pay for traffic when you're used to getting a lot of organic traffic, whether it's organic social traffic or organic search traffic, I think to treat paid traffic as a kind of inferior option really misses the point, and it comes with a lot of danger. For those of us who've been in search since the days of Penguin and Panda, I think we are also scarred very deeply by seeing sites at the mercy of algorithms. Whenever you're getting organic visibility, whether it's through SEO, whether it's through social, you're at the mercy of algorithms, visibility algorithms, because no content channel that you look at today is ordered in a timeline basis, right? None of that. It's all visibility algorithms. And when algorithms can change, if you're used to getting a lot of visibility, then all of a sudden you can lose that. So it's very important to have some paid traffic channels, in my opinion, active at any time, so that should that organic visibility go, for whatever reason, right? Google changes its algorithm, your website gets hacked, and Google spots it before you do, and your site loses visibility and your inbound business just completely evaporates or whatever. It's very important to have some paid traffic sources that you can dial up in those situations. So yeah, I think having given that context, I do think obviously that SEO is incredibly important. And we would always encourage a business to have an organic search strategy and to be spending time on it even before they know that they need it. It's something that we at Exposure Ninja, we didn't really do SEO on our own site for probably 5 years, until we really took it seriously from starting the business, because we were flooded with leads anyway. But actually, what happens when you start working on SEO is you realize that your business needs to become much more content focused. You realize that you need to share a lot more with your audience, and that actually puts you in a really good place, because that starts to build the relationships, and that starts, the reason we're doing this YouTube stuff now is because we made a decision a few years ago that we needed to focus more on content to help our SEO. And then that took us on a journey where here we are now doing YouTube, and it's a decent source of leads for us. So yeah, I think there's lots of good business habits that come from having an organic search strategy, even if you don't necessarily need it yet. So both channels are important, but for businesses in different stages, there's going to be slightly different priorities. Great. So we've got some people submitting their sites. Thank you, Claude and Leighton. Hey, from Ireland, Porty Walsh, the DJ. Nice. Hey, Lawrence. Hey, Phil. Hey, Ed. Hey, Daniel. I'm glad. I was going to try and read your username, Daniel, but there's lots of consecutive vowels and it's been a long week. So, yep. Hey, Manon. Hey, Andrew. Glad to hear you've been enjoying the book. Loving that. Okay, great. So first site on the chopping block today, let me just remove this comment so y'all can see it. First site on the chopping block today is this site that has been sent in. It's 123remodeling.com if you want to go and view it yourself. And this site was sent in, I think the business is actually based in Chicago. I don't know if you can see, but at the top of the screen there in the address bar, we can see they're based in Chicago. So I'm guessing they're not going to be on the live unless they are incredibly dedicated. If so, respect. So probably going to be catching it in the replay. But the question is, how can we improve our organic search? Now, I don't know what you think about this site. Just drop it in the comments what you're thinking about layout and that type of stuff. We're not going to be focusing hugely on content marketing today, but sorry, we're not going to be focusing hugely on conversion rate today, but what do we think of this site from a conversion rate? Because anytime we're thinking about paid search, we have to be thinking about conversion rate, because the success of a paid search campaign is simply a function of cost per click versus conversion rate. Of course, the cost per click has to be for relevant keywords, but cost per click versus conversion rate. So we need to know that the site's converting well in order to even consider paid search. But do let us know what you think of this this site. When I first landed on it, I was like, this looks really, really good. Nice, clean layout. I know the trade space pretty well, having spent a good few years almost entirely in there. Maybe a couple of years entirely in there. So it looks pretty good. Got a good amount of content on this page. Nice, clean layout. We've got this free estimate CTA, which follows us around the page. So that is superb. Got a bit of information about that here as well. So generally looking pretty good. However, and let me know what you think in the... looks a bit plain and not inspiring, says Andrew. Yeah, potentially, yeah. I guess there's a personal taste thing in there as well. But yeah, potentially. I think one thing I would say on that note is we need to get a bit of personality in there. At the moment, there's no personality at all. And this is the sort of business where people want to know that someone who's coming into their home, you know, they want to have some sort of relationship with that person, even if it's not really deep. They just want to know that this person is not a complete degenerate. So I think that there could be some improvement there. However, obviously this is a site that's going to be targeting local, and things start to get a bit ropey when we look at the site in mobile view, because we lose that Chicago location that was above the main menu there, which is a complete disaster, because without that we have no location information above the fold at all. We also have an issue where all of the content on the page has been pushed below the fold, which is going to impede conversion. This logo looks really massive, pointlessly massive. Meanwhile, the menu, which is the most important navigational element on this page, has kind of been shunted to the side. So I'd consider the redesign of this mobile area, definitely. Okay, but aside from that, it looks reasonable. Ed says the CTA is good, but needs a little more wallop. Yeah, could do, yep. Absolutely. Let's see what the CTA page looks like. Okay, so we would definitely say you could do some more wallop on this page, maybe some before and afters of people's remodeling, because they're clicking on this very, very early on. They might have no context about what the CTA includes, so we need to resell them on it when they get to this landing page, on this conversion page. We might also want to get some testimonials on here as well. But having said all of this, I still think this site is ready for traffic. Yes, some improvements could be made, but this site is ready for traffic. So what do we think? If you were running this business, would you be considering Google Ads? Would you be considering PPC? And while we're talking about this, my main consideration, when we're thinking about should we be running PPC, for me, if a business needs more leads and Google ad traffic is profitable, i.e. you can get leads for your business profitably, then it's a no-brainer. If you need more leads and you can get leads profitably from Google Ads, it's a no-brainer. Doesn't matter what else you're doing. Doesn't matter if your SEO graph is looking really healthy and you're really looking forward to getting loads of leads from SEO, I would keep going, right? I would really, really keep going with PPC. And I'll explain why in just a minute. But let's do some kind of basic numbers here to see if we think that maybe PPC might be profitable for a business like this. So we need to firstly understand average order value. Here's the kind of sum that you can use. You basically want to work out what is your average net profit per sale, and can you get a lead that converts at less than that net profit? If you can, then you're profitable. Great. Now, you obviously don't want to be doing sort of kitchen remodeling jobs for essentially break even or slightly over profit. So you need to have a maximum cost per acquisition that you're happy with. But let's say for this that, I don't know, the average job is $20,000, right? And let's say profit margin, I'm just plucking numbers out of the air, but just so we can understand the maths. Let's say the average profit margin after everything else is paid for is $5,000. What we need to know is, can we get customers through Google Ads for less than $5,000? If the conversion rate on this page is, let's say, 2%, and let's say that we convert 1 in 3 of the leads that we get. So let's try and I've really stitched myself up with this math, but let's say our average profit is 5,000. We convert 1 in 3 of the leads. So we need to be getting leads for, say, 1,600. And then the conversion rate on this page is 2%. So we do 1,600 divided by 50. Let's just see how that goes. 32. So can we get leads for $32? Is that right? No, can we get clicks? Can we get clicks for $32? So as long as we're going to be paying less than $32 per click for this space, then we should be profitable. In which case I would definitely recommend Google Ads for this business. Now, obviously, clicks are going to be way less than $32. I don't know exactly what they are in Chicago, but for this type of thing, we'd normally expect cost per click to be like $7 to $10 at the high end. So as long as all of those numbers are within appropriate range, and actually the conversion rate on qualified PPC traffic should be considerably higher than 2%, then we should be good to go. So it's definitely something that we'd focus on. Okay, now for SEO, this is going to be a location search, or it's going to be a kitchen remodeling search in a location. So we're looking to target local results. So Google needs to understand where the business is, and you also need to have some very clear communication about locations to your target audience. Now, it looks like we've got some sub pages here, which are all location focused, I would imagine. Okay, so here we are, Evanston, kitchen and bathroom remodeling in Evanston. Okay, good. Looks pretty good. Right. Okay, so the question would be, is the content on this page unique to other pages, or is it all pretty generic? Let's just do a very quick side-by-side comparison. I think this is essentially duplicate content, just with the location switched out. Now, I'm just doing that based on looking at the text, so it might not be 100% duplicate, but that to me looks like it's probably duplicate. So this strategy with different locations is actually fine. It's not a bad thing to do, but the content needs to be unique. Otherwise, the likelihood is that Google will just see these pages as duplicate content pages. Now, duplicate content, people don't need to be as worried about this as you know, often people are. They're terrified of any sort of content that's replicated on more than one page on their website, or even on more than one website on the internet. I had someone email me this week terrified that if they posted on social with information that was from their website, they were going to get slammed with a duplicate content penalty. That is not the case. what we found is that Google most often just ignores pages that are considered to be duplicate, or if a site is clearly just ripping off content from other sites, then you might see some kind of site-wide visibility to drop. But really, duplicate content is more like your stuff is going to get ignored rather than Google's going to give you a big fat slam. So this is a good strategy, but it's not going to be working as effectively as it could because the content on these pages needs to be unique. So if you're targeting lots of different locations, how do you come up with unique content? Well, you probably talk about the different bathroom remodeling jobs you've done in Skokie. You might have some testimonials from people in Skokie. You might have some case studies of different streets where you've done work, so you get even more locally targeted. But there needs to be something on this page which justifies Google using it for kitchen remodeling Skokie, okay? In fact, let's just have a look and see what the competition is like. Kitchen remodeling Skokie, and see what they're up to so we can see who would be up against. Okay, firstly, we can see Google Ads, so we think that actually Google Ads should be a profitable thing to do. We'll come back to those in just a minute. And we've got some local pages here. So Chi look like they're running ads, and they're visible in MapPack, and they've got prominent organic visibility. Let's have a look at their page. They seem like a good competitor to analyze. Then we've actually got, this is kind of interesting, we've actually got kind of informational searches coming up for some of these. So House, Home Advisor, and then House again, and then Yelp as well. So actually not necessarily businesses that are ranking for these. For the first few positions anyway. Okay, this is Chi or Chai. Okay, right. So here's the personality. Here's the piece that we talked about earlier that wasn't necessarily on the I can't remember the 123 remodeling site. This looks like a video. Yeah, testimonial video. Great. Okay, so there's the personality. There's the reassurance that we didn't get on that site. So that'll be worth doing. What are these? Are these reviews? No idea what that is all about. Okay. But right, that's what we're up against. No CTA form. We've got this schedule a free consultation phone, but no form. So if they're running ads to that, then we'd be happy going up against it because they're not actually trying to convert with the form on their page. So we'd fancy our chances against them going with form and phone. And that is the page that they're running ads to. So we would definitely take them on directly with Google Ads. Does this make sense? Okay, let's do some questions from people while we're here. So Phil says, I'm building a site for a client that wants a clone site for each location in the UK. I'm assuming the best way is to canonicalize each page back to the original site. So for example, the corp site will have all the original content, but area sites will have some words changed for certain areas. Phil, good question. This is something that we used to do back in the exact match days where we'd actually just build like whatever. I did this for clients in 2011. And it was, you'd build kitchen remodeler Stoke, kitchen remodeler Nottingham, kitchen remodeler, and they'd all be basically the same. The trouble is, and I'm going to ask you back, what's the reason they want these clone sites? Because actually what you end up finding these days is it's much harder to rank lots of smaller sites. For example, if you're canonicalizing each of these local pages back to the main site, those little sites are essentially dead. They're going to have no organic visibility at all. They're never going to get off the ground. They're never going to get any links. They're just going to be invisible. So what I would suggest considering or pushing against them to consider is actually make those locations, a bit like we're seeing here, make those locations sections off the main site. Right, they're doing PPC in each area. Okay, so these are essentially just location landing pages then. In which case, I'd probably just, you may even just completely no index them all together. Or, I'd still make them based on the main site because then you can get people clicking through to the rest of the site and there might be some lift if Google sees that traffic through these keywords is relevant and staying around on the site. So yeah, I'd still try and get them to commit to, here's your main site. Let's get these location-based landing pages off that and run ads to the main domain. That would be my my preferred approach. But certainly, you don't want those location pages having the same content as the main site. The location pages, they're sacrificed entirely in that model, unless you can have unique information on them. Right, so Proudy says, is there a threshold of duplicate content before Google will see it as unique? Anybody tells you that they have the definitive answer to that question is lying. No, I don't think there is, but there is probably going to be something, right? So Google would say, oh, it's just one of the 200 ranking factors that we look at. And, there are different signals that we read, blah, 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 blah. What I would say is, as long as you're not trying to manipulate the situation, you should be okay. So for example, this site here, technically, they're trying to manipulate the situation, right? There's no benefit really to this page. They've just got it because they want to rank for each of these different terms. So yeah, I would say they're unlikely to get these pages ranked for much if they are entirely duplicate. And if it turns out that they are, obviously, I've just done a quick scan of a couple of paragraphs and it looks to be. But if they just had like an about us section, or if this was common across every page, that wouldn't be as much of a problem. Okay, let's have a look at what they're ranking for then. So we've got them in SEMrush here. And if you want a free trial of SEMrush, you can go to thankyouninjas.com. We've got some nice little UI updates and stuff going on. So we're liking that. Right, let's just click on and have a look at the different keywords that they're ranking for. So we're going to head over to the US because obviously that's most visible. One thing I would absolutely love in SEMrush, and let me know if you know of a way to do this. I want to look at this site's visibility in Chicago. But unless you set it up as a project and track ranking in Chicago, I don't think there's a way of seeing from Chicago, if you like. But let me know. I know we've got some SEO ninjas here as well. Let me know if you think that there's a way of doing that. Okay, so search visibility, what's happened? We've got an interesting pattern here. Really interesting pattern. Okay. So the question was, why isn't this site ranking better? So that's kind of what we're going to have a look at. First thing though, we're just going to have a broad look at the sorts of phrases this site is ranking for, and that's going to give us an indication of some of the stuff that they could be doing to improve the visibility of the site. So it looks like we're ranking for some decent informational phrases. Local phrases for remodeling Skokie is going to be super, super low, but you still want to be targeting them. You still want to be ranking for them. You still want to be driving ads to them. So don't be put off with the volume for stuff like that. I know from experience, my first ever client, we changed his life with getting him ranking for a phrase that Google said there was zero visibility for. And I mean zero visibility, not even 10, not 30, zero. So for these local searches, don't be put off by the search volume. These numbers are super inaccurate at the lower end. Having said that, right, we're ranking reasonably well for some broader terms like countertop replacement, which is not going to be massively useful. Yes, it's a good sign to Google that that we're relevant for these terms, but that's going to be a nationwide term. So the number of potential customers that's coming from that is going to be relatively small. I would be whilst content is great and you definitely want to work on that, I would be. Yeah, I know how to view the site in the US, Dave. I'm just wondering about, can I see in SEMrush, can I see where the site is ranking in Chicago, if you know what I mean? Yeah, local traffic is going to be much more profitable than like cool additions to your house. So it's great to get that type of stuff ranking, but it's unlikely to bring customers. However, it's not to say you wouldn't do it, because actually this type of stuff can be good link bait, particularly if it takes off, particularly if there's a way of getting some virality on social. Then this can be the sort of thing that gets picked up and starts picking up links. Some pretty cool stuff here. Loving this. Okay, not a huge amount of content. I'm not sure what the plan is for this. There's not really an attempt to get this nudged into service pages on the site. It just seems to be like sharing images, but oh my gosh, and there's a few of them. So yeah, maybe this is designed to pick up links. I'm not sure. We're going to have a look at links in just a minute, but that would be the only way I could see this like seriously paying off. Let's go and have a look at links actually. While we're doing this, or after we've done this, I'm just going to look at some questions as well. Okay, right. So let's have a look and see what sort of links they've been getting, and this will tell us the strategy and maybe give us some suggestions for other things that they might want to do. Okay. So we have links from House, we have links from Better Business Bureau, which is great, high authority. That's good. We have links from this. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing a huge amount that's like super high quality here, if I'm honest. So how could you build sites to this? I mean, it depends how big you want to go, right? You've got the 50 cool design ideas. Okay, Arta says, what's the best strategy to get backlinks? It depends on your business type, right? So these are local businesses, so local directories is fine, but also targeting local magazine, local newspaper type sites can be a good idea. So what sorts of stories can you use to get into the Skokie National, or, you know, whatever what would it be, the Skokie Post or something like that? So there's going to be like a local newspaper type site which you can reach out to, and these guys are always going to be struggling for news. So what can you take? How can you provide something which is going to be interesting and relevant to them? Perhaps you can talk about, these are the top kitchen trends we're noticing in Skokie, right? The 5 most common areas to get remodeled in your home in 2021 in Skokie, or Chicago's lockdown remodeling trends. These are all the sorts of topics which actually, these sorts of publications where they're getting relatively small amount of stuff submitted, is actually not too bad a way of getting in. So Arta says, I found that magazines and blogs ask for money to post about a business. Yes, they can do. And here's where I'm going to be 100% honest with you, Arta. Sometimes you're going to pay the money. Okay, this is the unknown, unspoken part of SEO and backlinks. Sometimes you're going to pay the money. Now, every time you're seeing businesses talk about digital PR and that type of stuff, there is a percentage of the time when they're getting those links truly organically. Okay, so something blows up and loads of people start writing about it. So let's say that this business, they installed some crazy underfloor fish tank or something which just completely blew up, and loads of people are writing about it on social and loads of people are sharing it. Then it might start picking up attention. But a lot of the time, they're going to reach out to these publications and say, hey, you know, you're interested in this. And the publication will say, well, you're a business, so yeah, we're interested in it, but it's going to cost you. And a lot of the time when you're reading about digital PR and normal PR, there is a payment involved. So this gets into ethics, and this gets into white hat versus black hat. And I'm not going to tell you which side of the line that you need to go on. But what I will tell you is that almost everyone is paying at some point for links. And it's a massive problem. And it's really, really freaking annoying, because sites like Reach Media, I'm not even getting, lots of network news sites, this is one of their monetization strategies. This is how they're surviving, right? They're taking money from PRs for this type of visibility. So be that as it may, probably shouldn't have said any of that, but just take it. So figure out what you're going to do and what you're going to make of it. Even if you've got a news angle, some of the time they're going to ask for payment. So then you've got to decide whether you want to pay it or whether you don't. So yeah, that's that. So other ways of getting links. Let's say that you wanted to target kind of nationally. Well, you could do some wider surveys. You could look at how people's behavior. Let's say we're talking about this business here. What you're always trying to do is you're trying to find angles that have a general population interest. So what is the general population going to be interested in on this? Or maybe it's see these ridiculous kitchen transformations on the cheap, Or let's say that we find someone they've got a dreadful kitchen, they've been in an awful situation, you go in and fix it up, and it's like, national hero has had their kitchen remodeled by these geniuses. Maybe there's a personal interest story there. So you can get links by being press worthy, right? So this is essentially PR. But that's a really great way of getting really high authority links. So for clients, we'll do things like conduct surveys and studies where we'll survey people, put all that information into a piece of data on their website. So like a infographic, or here's what people think of lockdown or something like that, and then we'll go out to the press with that and say, look, we've got this survey, we've got this study. You can also do things with publicly available data. So let's say, for example, that you wanted to find out which areas in Chicago have the biggest kitchens, right? Or how house prices are different, how house prices have changed during lockdown in different areas of Chicago, right? That might be something which could be relevant to this business, and that data will probably be publicly available somewhere. And then you could turn that into a blog post, which you can then reach out to the press. But the point is, you have the blog post with all the data on your website. So when the press talk about it, they're referring back to your website. Does that make sense? Drop me something in the chat, people, if we think it makes sense. Okay, a quick question from Alan. He says, I run a site for a SaaS client selling a health and safety software platform. We get clicks on PPC, no leads. Struggling to determine what's wrong: the traffic, the content, the product. Great question, Alan. Feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll take a look at it. But from experience with SaaS, health and safety software platforms, we get clicks on PPC but no leads. Struggling to determine what's wrong: the traffic, the content, the product. You've got to work your way along the line, really. So the first thing that we do is we'd establish, are these clicks from the sort of people that are actually looking for this solution or have a problem which this solution solves? So are we even getting qualified traffic? If you're getting qualified traffic and you're happy that the keywords that you're targeting, super relevant and all of that, then the next thing to look at is the offer on the page. So is the offer on the page compelling? For someone in that situation, is it low risk, high perceived value? Then are we answering all the objections that someone might have to requesting that offer? And then from there, if we're doing all of that, then is the thing itself actually compelling, which is a mixture of compelling and relevant. That's the chain I would go to. Is the traffic qualified? If the traffic's qualified, is the offer any good? If the offer's good, are the objections, are all the concerns about the offer being handled? And if those are being handled, then is the underlying thing actually what people are really wanting? Okay. What other questions have we got here? Does DA matter for ranking on Google? I think Andy has actually answered that, but DA, or domain authority, is a metric that SEOs use to measure how authoritative a page is. It's not a Google metric. It's designed to mimic PageRank, which was a Google metric and is a Google metric, but Google used to report PageRank to you. You could get a PageRank toolbar on Chrome. This was the easy days of SEO, and you could see what the DA of a site was. And then you'd know if you got a link from that, then it was going to be more powerful if it was a higher DA site. We still use it as a way of analyzing how authoritative a site is, so likely how valuable a link is going to be, but it's not a Google thing. So it's really crude compared to PageRank, compared to Google's ranking algorithms, compared to, it used to be that a link from a high DA site, that was it. That was all you need. Now relevance is important. The context of the link is important. There's so much more that DA is a smaller and smaller and smaller component of what makes a great and valuable link. Okay. Right. Let's do someone else's site now. Let's see if we can find one. Sorry, there's so many comments, I kind of lose them. Let's go for claudeandlayton.com. You're up. claudeandlayton.com. Okay, art prints and posters. Let's take a look. So I'm guessing that we are trying to get ranking for buy wall art prints. That is the page title there. Got some visibility already. This is nice. We're going to have a look at your link profile in just a minute. Reasonably well laid out site. Join our free art print club. Okay, I really like this. I really like this idea. Join our free art print club. This is the newsletter, right? But it's rebranded. Yeah, we got some videos on how to increase your email subscriber count coming up very soon. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. But one of the things that we talk about is repositioning, sign up for the newsletter to be sign up for some kind of membership or sign up for a free whatever. And that's exactly what you've done here. So I really like that. That's cool. Okay, we actually know this space. We've worked in this space, so I know a few things. I know it's competitive, really competitive. I know that you're going to be spending a decent amount of money on your Google ads and your Google shopping ads to get clients from this. So you want to make sure that there is a lifetime value here. Right, so we're targeting romantic art. So, I mean, some things I'd suggest about the homepage. Firstly, we probably want to categorize people almost immediately, because if I'm not interested in love, if that's not what I'm looking for right now, I'm turned off, because I think that this is just about love. So the first thing I would think about is, how are we getting people to the information, to the products that are most relevant for them as quickly as possible? And I'm not sure we're doing that at the moment. We do have that categorization in your menu, so that's good. But I would like to see that on the homepage, and possibly in place of this banner, right? I'd consider already shrinking that up and having some, categories here so we can get people through. I'm trying to remember the name of the people who are absolutely killing it in this space. Let's just go for art prints and see what comes up. Unique. Right. Okay, so you can see here, they're trying to get people, right, we've got categorization immediately. So this site has changed quite a lot since I've last seen it, but they've still got the categorization here. And then we're putting people straight into a search. This is almost like, it's like a massive category page. So I guess this is probably based on what, bestsellers or something like that. Yeah, maybe bestsellers, maybe, I'm not sure, but we're trying to catch people's eye here. Then we've got a bit more story further down the page, but this is much more kind of straight into the transactional, whereas your site is more about the kind of story and stuff like that. So it maybe feels a little bit more lead gen-y, which, you're probably not going to beat Unique on the range of products that they've got available. So that might be an angle that you've got to take, but I would consider that, because they spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of money on ads, that's for sure. So they're going to be converting as high as they possibly can. I'd consider the spacing and the design of this. Yeah, and I'd consider the filtering options, because art is so subjective, isn't it? We need to get people through to the stuff that they like as quickly as possible. And the danger is, if I'm not into these, I'm gone. So I'd try and show a variety. As best you can, and then it's all about like subcategorization. Just get people through to the content that's best for them. Okay, now as for content, and let's say talking about getting this site ranking, abstract art prints and posters. Okay, we've got a bit of information about what is abstract art. Let's just have a look and see what's competing, what we're up against. So if you're trying to get ranked for something, at Reef, I wish you had super chat enabled. I don't know what super chat is. Is that the YouTube thing where people throw money? I don't know how to do that. If you're trying to get ranking for something, the best thing that you can do is spend some time in the Google search results page looking at competitors for that term. And I'm not talking about business competitors, I'm talking about search competitors. So let's say that we wanted to get ranking for amazing abstract art prints. Here's all of the information that you need about how to do that, because everything that we need is here. The first thing that we can see for Google ads, we know this is a commercial search. We can see shopping ads. We know this is a really commercial search, because people are buying as a result of this. We can see really different price points from 20 to 500. So we know that these are broadly going to be the range of prices that people are going for. Okay, what else do we see? Well, the next thing that we see is you don't have to be Etsy or a massive site to rank for this, because actually East End Prints, which doesn't sound like a massive site, and Abstract House are ranking for this. So that gives us confidence that this isn't yet dominated by like Amazon, Wikipedia, and that type of stuff. So we're happy to go pretty hard on a search term like this because we can see other sites which aren't like super huge multi-billion-dollar companies ranking for this. So that shows us there is still some potential. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the top ranking pages and see what the commonalities are between them. So Etsy is going to have to work less hard to rank for this term. I hope you can see this, by the way. I know the screen might be a little bit small depending on what you're seeing, but Etsy is going to have to try less hard for this because they've got such huge authority across the domain. Let's have a look at what Etsy is doing first of all. So abstract art print, this is basically it's basically a search category page. It's even a search page, so I'm not even entirely sure that it's a static category page. So it probably doesn't even have any text. No, it doesn't even have any text. So this is what we mean by Etsy's not going to have to work particularly hard for this. But what they have done is they have abstract wall art, abstract art print in their product titles. So whether they're helping people with this or whether it's just the marketplace effect of Etsy, meaning that people are optimizing their listings to show for these searches, that means that there's qualified relevant content on this page, even though they haven't added any text. Let's have a look at the other sites that are ranking for this. So this is Abstract House. Now they've got a bit of a potential lift here by the fact that they seem to all be about abstract, and they've got maybe some brand lift because they're called Abstract House. That's probably less of a thing than it used to be, but it means that any content on their blog, for example, is going to be about abstract stuff and stuff like that. So we're just starting to get a feel for how hard are we going to have to work to rank for these terms if we're going to compete against them. So we've got a bit of copy here. We've got lots of we've got lots of products here, and a lot of them have abstract art print in the title, right? This is no coincidence, by the way. This is no coincidence. They're actually optimizing their product pages for the category terms they want them to rank for. Let's just have a look at one of these product pages and see how much info is here. I'm guessing very small amount indeed. Actually, we got a little bit here. We got a little bit more than I expected. Normally with sites like this, they just dump a picture on, and then it's just like, just buy it. Just kind of freaking buy it. I'm not going to give you any information. They could have done a little bit more, but at least they have this type of stuff, which shows a little bit of effort. So that's nice. We're going to give them a C+ for effort there. Let's have a look at this one. Abstract art prints. Okay, we've got a bit of text. And then we've got products actually which don't have the word abstract art print in their titles. Then we've got this content here with lots of links in. So they are trying. This has been SEO'd. Okay, cool. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to dump these sites into SEMrush or MozPro. Actually, let's use MozPro for the lols. We're going to dump them into MozPro, see what their link profile looks like, see what domain authority and that type of stuff looks like. As we've spoken about domain authority, we're going to see it in action and see what sorts of link profile we're going to be competing at. So I know that we're looking at abstract art, but actually, we're actually looking at this is how you research every single SEO competitor you're ever going to find. So first up, domain authority of 30, not particularly high. Page authority of 24, not particularly high. Not too many links for this particular page. So we're going to go to a domain authority in just a minute. But it actually doesn't look like they're trying particularly hard to rank for this, which again is really, really encouraging. Really, really encouraging, because if you can see stuff like this ranking, well, you know that you're not gonna have to rebuild Amazon to get there. Okay, now let's look at the domain as a whole and the links that they've got coming in. So we can see 249 linking domains. That means 249 different sites linking in for 21,000 total inbound links. Let's just have a look at what some of these are. So Moz is going to show us the page authority, where that link comes from, also the domain authority. So this is kind of interesting. We've got some high profile publication links here. So we've got links from The Sun, Express, The Sun. Got links from Etsy. They've been doing some coupon voucher code SEO as well. Looks like they've been doing some kind of content marketing type digital PR stuff. The journal.ie, so got some links there as well. Crunchbase, okay, this site has been SEO'd. Yeah, they're actually trying. They've done some work here. They've got a decent link profile. Now, I bet if we put your site in here, we probably wouldn't see a similar sort of link profile. I'm guessing. Art says, it's a good idea to add to all products, title, search terms I want to rank for. You don't want to get too spammy with it, Arta, but what I'd say is have a look at what your competitors are doing. And if it's working for them, right? But don't get too spammy with it. With any of this stuff, if you take it to its extreme, it starts to look spammy. It starts to impact user experience. So then you want to be a little bit careful. Okay, whereas your site, okay, so we got one link coming in. And whilst it looks like a legit site, it actually doesn't look... it actually looks like another site of yours selling a similar thing. Is that right? Okay. Right. Yeah. So we need links. This site, if it's going to rank, it needs links. So the next question is about PPC and ads and how hard we would want to go with ads on this. Now, how hard we would want to go on ads depends on, again, who we're up against. If you see that shopping ads are dominated by Wayfair and stuff like that, you know you're going to have to bring your conversion game, because Wayfair's running ads for £20 products. They might be paying 50p. They might be paying £1 per click. They're probably losing money on the first sale. So if you're going up against that with a similar price product, you're going to have deeper pockets than Wayfair, which is tough. But what we can see is that other sites which aren't going to be losing money on the first sale have higher cost and actually seem to be doing all right. So that gives me a little bit of reassurance. So I'd test Google Shopping. Probably Google text ads not worth it for something like this where it's so visual. But I would test Google Shopping. I would test it with your best selling prints and your highest price prints. Okay, that's what I do for that. At Reef says, where can I buy good quality backlinks? Hey, check this out. Boom. Buy backlinks. Should you buy backlinks in 2020? Exposure Ninja blog ranking #1 for that at Reef. Go and read that post. That's what I'd suggest. Okay. All right. Next site that we're going to have a look at. So people have been submitting their sites. If you've submitted your site and you have left in the dots, all of the dots in the URL, I'm probably not going to see it. Steve Edwards says steveedwardsphotography.com. Okay, we'll take a look at that in just a second. Steve 24 Sumo says, what would you consider a good click-through rate from organic traffic on an e-commerce site? It really depends. It depends on so much stuff. It depends on where you're ranking. So different ranking positions, you're going to have a different click-through rate. So if you're ranking position 1 and you're getting a click-through rate of 30%, then you might be really happy with that. If you're ranking position 1 and you're getting a click-through rate of 5%, you're probably going to be Devo. If you're ranking position 10 and you're getting a click-through rate of 5%, then you're going to be absolutely over the moon. So it really depends where you're ranking, how commercial intent the traffic is, how many ads there are around it, so all that type of stuff. So it's a difficult one to answer with a blanket statement. Okay. So Steve Edwards Photography, I think, was the site. So Steve's going to be... Let's not make any judgments, but let's have a look. So Steve Edwards Photography. I'm actually just going to search that because I'm not sure I spelled it right. There we go. Okay, so commercial. All right, first thing I do, shrink the size of the logo, sort out this menu because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different options. We want to have a maximum of 7 if you possibly can. You can use drop downs. You can have photography and then drop down of commercial, corporate event, personal branding, automotive, fashion, and then that saves you a bunch of space. Yeah, honestly, Steve, I would consider a redesign. I would consider a redesign for a number of reasons. Firstly, I don't think the layout is optimized for conversion. Secondly, we're going to need a lot more information on this page in order to get it to rank. So let's say that we want to target the phrase commercial photographer in Nottingham. We're going to do exactly what we've just done there. We're going to drop this in and have a look at what we're competing against as a first step. So commercial photographers networks, that's going to be like a lead gen type directory thing, I guess. Page one photography, lol. Page one photography. Right, they've nailed their goals there. Ranking page one, love it. Okay, what else have we got? So I'm not going to check out these kind of comparison sites or directory type sites. We're only going to check out your actual competitors. Okay, Nottingham Photographer's Home. Yeah, it's not great. So what we're looking at here is page titles. If you want to rank, one of the fastest things you can do to improve your chances is sort your page titles out. So if we go back to your site, Steve, we can see your page title here is Steve Edwards Photography, Steve Edwards Commercial Photography Nottingham. Okay, and if you want to see your page title, a bunch of different ways you can do it, but one of the fastest ways for dullards like me is to just search for, just open view source and then find the bit that says title. Okay, this is your page title, word for word, one of the most important SEO elements on the page. And what you really want to do with your page title, Steve, is you want to include your target keywords at the start of your page title. So for example, at the moment, we're telling Google that the main phrase that we want to rank for is Steve Edwards Photography. And not only that, we've repeated Steve Edwards again. Now, this is unnecessary and it's wasteful. And actually what we probably want to do is target something like Commercial Photography Nottingham. What you might choose to do, I can see that you've got a bunch of different services here: commercial, corporate event, personal branding, automotive, fashion. I would pick one that you want to go after hard with your ranking. It might be commercial, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% convinced by that, because I'm wondering if people searching for commercial photography actually search for commercial photography, or if that's the industry term. For example, if I need headshots, I'm probably searching for headshot photographer. If I need event photography, I'm probably searching for corporate event photographer, or even just event photographer. So I would question whether commercial photography is actually the thing that you want to rank for. So first step before you do anything is make sure you've identified the right keywords that you want to rank for. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. You can run some Google ads, and you can run Google ads to a whole bunch of different terms, see what converts the best. Right? So you might target commercial photography, headshot photographer, all these sorts of things, and see how much volume you're getting, what sort of click-through rates you're getting, and what sort of conversion rates you're getting for each of those. And then you put all of your organic eggs in the one that's performing best. But the other way of doing it, the quick way, which doesn't cost you anything, is go and talk to your customers. Say, if you were going to be searching for me or what we do, what would you be looking for? What are the things that you would be searching for if you were looking for us? Okay. And then you'll get some info. And maybe it is commercial photography. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm just telling you I'm not 100% convinced by that. We need more content on this page. We definitely need more content on this page. We need more information about you, Steve. Let's say you meet someone. What you probably don't do is say, here's my logo. Here's 4 pictures. I'm a commercial photographer in Nottingham. Get in touch, right? That's probably not what you do. There's a sales process. There's information that you give people. This information is going to be really important from a conversion perspective, but also if Google's going to rank this page, it has to know that you are super relevant for that page, and it understands what your business is about and what you're relevant for through the text on the page. Okay, let's take a look at the commercial photography page. This is going to be a key one. Commercial photography, right? So we've lost the Nottingham piece. So I get the Nottingham piece back. So commercial photographer in Nottingham. How can a commercial photographer help you? Right. This is information, okay? This is all information. So if I'm searching for something informational, I would expect to see an informational page. For example, let's say that I search for what is a commercial photographer. I might expect to see this. If I search for a commercial photographer Nottingham, usually I'm looking for something. I'm looking for a solution, right? And if I'm looking for a solution, if I have commercial intent, the page needs to be commercial. Hey, this guy does Grant Cardone. The page needs to also be commercial intent. This is rubbish. If I'm looking at this stuff, I'm thinking, oh, hello, here we go. I'm going to enjoy blazing past you in the rankings. What is this? A single page homepage, no info at all, and then you've just got to click to enter. Are you mental? Wow. Okay, right. We're going to go hard on commercial photography Nottingham, because actually these sites, I mean, they look like decent photos to me, but from an SEO perspective, wash out. So this is also a possibility. If you're analyzing your competitors and you're seeing this sort of stuff, then you're getting very excited indeed. Okay. So this site needs a redesign regardless. It needs a redesign. It needs thinking through the content. It needs thinking through the angle of each page. What does this page actually need to do? Then it's time to get links. But actually looking at the competitors that are ranking, you might be able to get this site ranking with not a huge amount of links. Yeah, so it's going to be local directories, Yelp, Fireball, Brown Book, Free Index, Touch Local, Silex, that type of stuff, Scoot, all of those very straightforward links to get. They're not going to change the world, but it's a good start. And then, yeah, potentially, what else would you do to get links? You'd probably reach out to, I'll tell you what you might do if you're really aggressive. There's loads of people working from home, right? So the whole thing about personal branding and corporate personal branding has just been completely thrown in the air because all of a sudden headshots aren't happening in office buildings, right? We've just redesigned our website. We need headshots for all our people. How do we do that? Because we're 100 people all working remotely. What's the solution there? Maybe you've got an opinion on that. So could we get some content published on different sites? Could you contribute an article which kind of piggybacks on this macro trend of people now working from home? Claude Layton says, we've had quite a bit of press coverage lately with quite a few large publication sites linking to us from the articles. Why aren't these showing? Also, why are we listed on Google Business and a number of other directories? Yet again, none of these are showing. So we're confused as to why there should be a lot more sites listed as linking to us. Okay, Claude and Layton, two things. Firstly, we were looking at the Moz inbound links. Now, Moz is seriously inferior to Google. So Google's going to see way more links than Moz is going to see. So there could be a chance that Google is seeing those links, but Moz isn't seeing them yet. Okay, so that's the first thing I would say. So don't panic. If you go into Search Console, you should be able to see inbound links coming through. If you don't see them in there, it could just be that Google hasn't crawled them yet. So I wouldn't necessarily panic about that. Just keep going, just keep doing what you're doing, and you should see those links start to increase. Yeah, okay. So Steve, I probably wouldn't run paid ads to this yet because I just don't think that the site is set up from a conversion perspective to be able to make money from that. Okay. Right, we got 4 minutes left. We're going to take a look at one more site. So Hidden Undercover said, could you maybe take a look at our site and help us find the problem? We think it has to do with our product pictures, which we will soon improve, will be much appreciated. What's your site, Hidden Undercover? We haven't got any experience with SEO or search engine advertising. What we've been doing so far is advertising through social media. Right, you're in the search webinar, but hey, let's have a look. So let's see if we can find Hidden Undercover. You've got to be cautious about searching for things like this on a public webinar. Hidden Undercover homepage. Okay, unique streetwear brand. Right. Well, we can see why we're not going to be ranking. So you've got homepage in your page title, which probably indicates that there's not going to be a huge amount of SEO going on here. Okay, so running social ads, we want to know why we haven't been getting conversions. We've been getting clicks, but no conversions. There are actually loads. Thank you, Tim. Please don't try to target my market. I'm trying hard, lol. Steve, don't worry. The great news is if you're in a space where you're targeting weakling competitors, just like it doesn't take much for you to just dominate them utterly. So be relentless, read how to get to the top of Google, binge on the Exposure Ninja stuff, and just show them a new level, right? Show them the new level. Make Nottingham commercial photography the New York divorce attorney of the SEO world. And by that, I mean make it so competitive, make the players so strong that, you know, you're so far ahead, they just have no chance of competing. Right. Hive Mind, what do we think of this site? Would you buy from this? Okay, so we're running social ads. We're getting clicks, but we're not getting conversions. Okay. We got some pictures. So what I want to know is, why would I buy this? So we've got a custom-made design by a talented young designer, tattoo artist from Amsterdam. The front and back tell a story symbolizing heartbreak. Okay, so my first concern was there's no story behind the product, but actually there is. So what I would think about here is if you're driving, I'd actually look at the dropshipping world. I would look at those super hypey dropship ads. Vickery says, no, I wouldn't buy from it. It looks boring. Okay. Well, there's one piece of feedback. I would look at those super hypey drop shipping ads that you see. You know, a couple of years ago, you had the black face mask thing, and you peel it off and you see all the pores and that type of stuff. Great, like social clickbait, amazing. Have a look at drop shipping ads on stuff like Instagram. What you'll notice is that a lot of them are running Shopify sites like this. And what they've come to realize is that it's all about the product page. For social e-commerce, when you're trying to sell an impulse, it's all about the product page. This product page needs to be absolutely 100% killer. And at the moment, this is not. Most of your traffic is going to be coming onto this from mobile. There's no headline. They're just going to see this product image. Now, it's going to start with that one. That's fine. But they're just going to see this product image. They're not going to see anything else. They're not going to see any context. They're not going to see this. Then they just see this. They don't see anything about the tattoo artist or the story. So what I would consider doing is putting some kind of story, whether it's a GIF or something that just sits there playing the story with subtitles about the tattoo artist, and we're meeting the person behind it. They're telling us all the story about symbolizing heartbreak. Now, what you're probably thinking is this is a huge amount of effort. Yes, it's a huge amount of effort, which is probably why you're only going to go for 1 or 2 products to begin with and just go all in with trying to convert on those. At the moment, this is such a hit and hope thing. You know, if I saw this in the street, maybe I might buy it if I really like the design. And if I was like super, super into it and I really needed a t-shirt. But honestly, if you're going to sell a product which is it's essentially almost generic. The design is awesome, I get that, but it's essentially almost generic and people don't know your brand yet. So what we need to do is tell them the story so it's not generic, so it has meaning. And at the moment, it doesn't have that meaning behind it. So we need to explain that in the copy on the page and preferably through video on social with subtitles as well. So yeah, that's what I'd suggest doing. At the moment, there's not enough here to tip me into buying. So I'd consider playing with that. Okay, right, we've got to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining today on this session all about search. So we're actually going to have a break from these live digital marketing workshops. I'm moving house next week. It's probably going to take 2 weeks, I'm going to say, to get a session like set up and all that type of stuff. So probably going to be like towards the tail end of February before we're back. So let's pencil in the 26th. If you've enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. We post awesome videos every week. Awesome, depending on your definition of awesome, but we try to make them entertaining. We try to make them informative, and sometimes we achieve one or both. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop us a like. And also don't forget to check out the Exposure Ninja podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. If you need any help with your digital marketing and you're considering and you're interested in becoming a client of Exposure Ninja, then go to exposureninja.com and request your free website and digital marketing review. In this review, we'll take a look at your website and your digital marketing, and we'll recommend where we would suggest putting your attention and your focus over the next 6 to 12 months to significantly increase the volume of sales that you're generating. So go to exposureninja.com if you're interested in becoming a client of Exposure Ninja to request your free digital marketing review. Otherwise, thank you all for joining us today. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you again in a few weeks.